Even after being forced by my father to live the life of a girl for over a decade, masquerading in silks and powders to satisfy a madman's ambition, I never once imagined that my ultimate destination would be the imperial palace, serving as a consort. According to my mother, long before I was born, a wandering monk had once sought shelter at the Sterling estate. He had prophesied that the lady of the house would bear a child with the destiny of the phoenix. My father, Marquis Sterling, was ecstatic. Our family had once been a prestigious clan, a cornerstone of the empire, but by my father's generation, the glory had faded. Although he had inherited the title of Marquis, he held no real power, no true influence. To send a child into the palace as a consort was not difficult for a noble family, but to reach the position of the phoenix, the empress, was as impossible as touching the moon in the sky. Yet, if the Sterling family could produce a queen, my father would become the emperor's father-in-law. When the emperor eventually passed and the crown prince ascended, half of the empire would effectively belong to the Sterling bloodline. It was the ultimate path to restoring our family's honor. From that moment on, my father watched my mother's belly with a predatory intensity, wishing he could conjure a child instantly to facilitate his ascent to heaven. His wish was granted, but his joy was short-lived. I was born a boy. He named me Timothy. The phoenix soars 1,000 miles, but will only land on the Wutong tree, the Fermiana. My father hoped my name would attract the child of prophecy he so desperately desired. But my mother never conceived again. My father sought every famous doctor, tried every folk remedy, but no daughter came. He began to blame my mother's useless stomach, rarely visiting her room and spending his nights with his various concubines. When he did visit, he brought baskets of ridicule and scolding, decreeing that I must be dressed and raised as a girl within the confines of our home. I once thought that if I worked hard enough, I could change his mind. I thought my father only wanted a daughter because I wasn't good enough as a son. So, I poured my soul into my studies, hoping to pass the civil service examinations and prove that I could bring glory to the family as a man. But when my father discovered my books, he threw them into a fire. "What use does a girl have for scriptures and strategy?" he had roared, the flames reflecting in his angry eyes. He hired tutors to teach me the elegant arts of a lady. My mother took it all with a resigned sadness. She told me not to hate him. "Your father just wants to restore the family glory too badly," she said, brushing my hair. "Do you wish I were a girl too?" I asked her, my voice trembling. "No," she said softly. "I do not wish that burden on you. Women have hard lives, Timothy. To be the mistress of a house is difficult. To be a concubine is painful. And the women inside the palace? Their lives are bitterest of all. I only hope you grow up safe, marry a good woman, and live a peaceful life with children around your knees." Her wish, like mine, was destined to remain unfulfilled. In the winter of my 15th year, the old emperor passed away, and the new emperor ascended the throne. 3 years later, the young emperor pushed for new policies that threatened the interests of the old nobility. Resistance was fierce, but the emperor was determined. He decided to make examples of a few to scare the many. Houses were raided, families exiled, and heads rolled. Unfortunately, my father was one of the chickens chosen to scare the monkeys. Yet, he was not sent to the dungeons with his colleagues. The emperor simply sent the imperial guard to seal the Sterling estate. My father waited in terror, day after day, until finally, a pardon arrived, along with a verbal decree summoning the eldest daughter of the Sterling family into the palace. The chief eunuch who delivered the decree looked at my father with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Marquis Sterling, you are blessed. His Majesty has granted a special pardon to your house." My father went mad with joy. He hugged his concubines, crying and laughing, forgetting even to thank the eunuch. My mother, however, was filled with worry. She asked the eunuch why the emperor was summoning me. The chief eunuch didn't answer her. He simply looked me up and down with a profound, unreadable expression. "The madam has given birth to a fine son," he murmured. His eyes held a mix of appreciation and something sharper, perhaps mockery. My mother held my hand tight, telling me to be at ease. "Since the emperor has pardoned us, surely he won't make things difficult for you," she lied, trying to comfort herself. "I'll make dumplings and wait for your return." The eunuch grew impatient and urged me to leave. I saw my mother's hair, dyed white by the falling snow, and fearing she would catch a cold, I waved her back. I followed the entourage out of the estate and boarded the carriage. As we passed the vegetable market entrance, I lifted the curtain. I saw blinding patches of red on the ground. In the snow, it looked like vast fields of blooming red plums. Today was execution day. The Lunar New Year was only 2 months away, but those men would never see it. It was my first taste of the emperor's wrath. I wanted to ask the eunuch why the emperor had pardoned my father and why he had summoned me, but I knew the answers would change nothing. I remained silent. Inside the palace gates, I disembarked. Another attendant was waiting. I saw the chief eunuch smile fawningly at him, calling him Chamberlain Wilson. This man looked imposing, clearly the emperor's personal steward. I followed suit, greeting him as Chamberlain Wilson, and he gestured for me to follow. He led me to a palace gate and told me to wait. I couldn't help but ask, when will His Majesty summon me? I was afraid that if I didn't return soon, my mother would worry. He said nothing, only instructing me to wait. I waited for a long time. I waited until the sky turned black. Finally, a decree arrived. Timothy Sterling, eldest son of Marquis Sterling, is pure of character and virtuous in conduct. He is hereby titled Precious Consort and granted residence in the Morning Sun Palace. My vision went black. It felt as though a bolt of lightning had struck me directly on the head. On the way here, I had wondered 1,000 times why the emperor had summoned me. I had considered execution, interrogation, perhaps even a strange form of hostage-taking. I had never, not once, considered this. Suddenly, I remembered my childhood. My father urging my mother to drink bitter medicines, saying, "Our family will have a child with the phoenix destiny." Later, I learned that a phoenix paired with a phoenix is male, but paired with a dragon, it is female. And I had been chosen by the dragon. This was the Sterling family's phoenix destiny. This was the destiny my father had obsessed over, the joke that had now become my life. I wanted to run. I wanted to run far away, to a place where no one forced me to wear skirts, where there were no scoldings from my father, and where I wouldn't become a laughingstock because of an imperial decree. But I couldn't. I thought of my mother. I thought of the Sterling family. I thought of the blood I had seen at the market. I accepted the decree in silence. Inside the Morning Sun Palace, several attendants were waiting. I heard them call me, "Your Grace." I thought of my father's obsession again and felt a sudden, hysterical urge to laugh. I laughed until tears streamed down my face. Perhaps my expression was too twisted, too broken, because the attendants dropped to their knees in terror. Chamberlain Wilson selected 2 people to stay and serve me, dismissing the rest. He looked at me with a steady gaze. "Consort Timothy, it is understandable to be homesick, but for fear of giving others cause for gossip, you must not behave this way in the future." He stepped closer, his voice lowering. "Once you enter the palace, the honor and disgrace of your family rest entirely on you. The moment you entered the gates, His Majesty sent a decree granting your mother a high noble title. I have served the emperor since he was a child, and I have never seen him care so much about any matter or person. This palace you reside in was renovated shortly after he took the throne. It was originally called the Palace of Approaching Grace, but His Majesty renamed it Morning Sun Palace." He pointed his whisk upward. The plaque for Morning Sun Palace was written by His Majesty himself. I was serving beside him when he wrote it. I heard him say, "The Firmiana tree grows facing the morning sun. It matches your name, Timothy, perfectly. It is a wonderful omen. Your Grace, please settle in. Some things may be hard to accept now, but in time, they will pass. Like when I took the knife to become a eunuch. I thought my life was over. I even thought of ending it. But now, I have made it through." He made a gesture as if to slap his own mouth, sighing. "Age makes a man talk too much. Please do not blame me, Your Grace." I knew he was reminding me out of kindness. I forced the corners of my mouth up and thanked him. Perhaps it was for my mother, or perhaps it was simple resignation, but I accepted my reality with a strange, eerie calm. The next morning, I went to pay my respects to the Queen as protocol dictated. On the way to the Phoenix Palace, I saw lines of maids and eunuchs. When they saw me, their faces revealed a subtle, bizarre expression before they quickly lowered their heads. I didn't see other concubines on the road. The harem was sparse. The emperor had not held a selection since ascending the throne. The queen, consort Sophie, and consort Lily were all from his time as crown prince. In 3 years, no children had been born in the palace. There were 2 princes from his time in the Eastern Palace, but their birth mother had passed away, and they were now raised by Queen Isabella. Queen Isabella was famous in the capital long before she married. She was a noble daughter of immense virtue and talent, a model for all women. The late emperor had betrothed her to the current emperor when she came of age, praising her potential to mother the nation. When I met her, she was exactly as dignified as the rumors suggested. Even facing me, a man taken into her husband's harem, she showed no flicker of strangeness. She simply offered the standard admonitions about living harmoniously and serving the emperor well, then granted me a seat. Consort Lily's expression, however, was a spectacle. She eyed me furtively, looking thoroughly difficult to deal with. Consort Sophie appeared to be about 16 or 17. She stared at me without concealment, showing no embarrassment when I caught her eye. Instead, she smiled at me, looking innocent and bright. I felt uncomfortable. Fortunately, the queen spoke a few more formalities and dismissed us. My attendant, Felix, wanted to take me through the imperial garden, claiming the red plums were blooming beautifully. But I feared running into other consorts and the inevitable awkward small talk. I didn't know how to face these women. I just wanted to retreat to the Morning Sun Palace. But I hadn't gone more than a few steps when consort Sophie called out to me. She wanted to take me to build a snowman. I didn't want to interact deeply with the emperor's women. My instinct was to refuse, but she grabbed my sleeve without a word, insisting I follow her. Although I was a consort, I was still a man. I worried that pulling away would look improper and invite trouble, so I let her drag me along. I had never met such a noisy woman. My mother was always silent. The queen was dignified. But Sophie seemed to have an endless supply of words. She chattered all the way. She told me she grew up at the border, riding horses by age 7. Her father and brother would take her to play whenever they weren't on duty. But when she was 10, they were recalled from the border, and she had to follow them back. She had heard how prosperous the capital was, but she found it awful. The people here were too scholarly. A single sentence had to turn 3 corners before getting to the point. The etiquette was exhausting. And the gatherings, she groaned. A bunch of madams surrounding me like I was a monkey in a zoo. I wanted to play with the other young ladies, but they just wanted to read poetry or paint. I couldn't find anyone who could even ride a horse. She complained about how boring the palace was. Everyone is so cautious. And consort Lily keeps tripping me up. She fell into the lake herself, but told the emperor I pushed her. The queen is gentle and gives me fun things, but she's not strict like before. She just doesn't smile much anymore. She looked melancholy for a moment, then brightened up, beaming at me. But now that you're here, someone can play with me. I heard men in the capital can ride horses. It's a pity we can't ride in the palace, but maybe we can compete in archery. Perhaps infected by her endless chatter, or perhaps desperate to know how others saw me. I couldn't help but ask, aren't you afraid of being criticized for walking with a man who has been titled a consort? Sophie kicked a pebble away, looking completely unbothered. Let them talk. If it weren't for the emperor's decree, neither of us would be here. It's not like anyone wants to enter the palace. Her words were incredibly bold. Felix, standing beside us, was sweating profusely. He whispered urgently, Consort Sophie, please, say less. If anyone hears this, heads will roll. Sophie huffed and kicked another pebble, but fell silent. I asked Felix, is it bad for me to be seen with the consorts like this? Felix waved his hand. Not at all. His Majesty ordered yesterday that you don't need to be too formal. If you wish to speak with the ladies, it is fine. If you lack company, we can find clever eunuchs to entertain you. His Majesty is only afraid you will be bored. Then, his tone shifted as he addressed Sophie. But Consort Timothy has just arrived. Building a snowman might be inappropriate. No one can guess the Emperor's mind perfectly. If this displeases His Majesty, it benefits neither of you. Does the Emperor get angry easily? I asked, my mind racing. Is he fierce? Does he beat people like my father? I couldn't help my wandering thoughts. If he beats me and kicks me out of the palace, that would be wonderful, but I knew I was dreaming. Consorts who angered the Emperor weren't kicked out. They were locked in the cold palace after the beating. Better not to anger him. So, I bowed and excused myself. Sophie pouted. Fine. I'll find you another time. She wandered off to play by herself. I watched her retreating figure, feeling a sense of shared misery. We were both trapped in a place we didn't like. It was hard to say who was more pitiful. Felix hadn't forgotten his red plums. He truly had a leisurely spirit. But I saw consort Lily in the distance, and, wanting to avoid her, went straight back to my palace. Back in the Morning Sun Palace, I didn't know what to do. I sat on the steps, staring at the tree in the courtyard. It was bare, lifeless. It matched me perfectly. After a while, servants brought in a zither, saying it was a gift from the emperor. They also relayed a message. The emperor would come to the Morning Sun Palace for dinner. Felix was grinning from ear to ear, congratulating me. But for me, it was a bolt from the blue. I stood frozen, unsure how to react. Felix leaned in, whispering, "Your Grace, since you are already here, what use is it to fight against yourself? If the emperor favors you, that is your blessing. Thunder and rain are both the king's grace. Isn't that so?" He sighed. "Don't blame this servant for speaking out of turn. You are a smart person. You know what to do. If you drill into a dead end, you are only making it hard on yourself." Chamberlain Wilson had said similar things yesterday. From the moment my father forced me into women's clothes, I knew that the arm cannot wrestle the thigh. Meaningless resistance only earns more suffering. I wasn't someone who insisted on smashing my head against a wall. I forced a smile. "Thank you for the reminder, Felix." I was just overwhelmed with joy. Felix slapped his thigh. "That's the spirit. In my opinion, your future is limitless." He lowered his voice further. "You don't know how the court argued over you this morning. Ministers knelt and threatened death. But did it work? A few heads fell, and who dare speak now? This world belongs to the emperor. If he likes you, no one can stop him. The emperor liked me." I didn't know where this inexplicable affection came from, but Felix was right. I couldn't refuse. After lunch, Felix brought in an older teaching matron. She spent a long time lecturing me on etiquette and how to serve the emperor. She handed me 2 small booklets. I opened one, took a single look, and slammed it shut, my face burning. My mind was a mess. The book felt like a hot potato. I threw it away instinctively. The matron scrambled to pick it up. "Your Grace, serving the emperor is a consort's duty. Before the first service, we must instruct you. If you do something wrong and His Majesty blames us, we cannot bear the penalty." She knelt and kowtowed. "Please, have mercy on this servant's life." Seeing a woman my mother's age kneeling before me, begging, twisted my insides. I knew the taste of helplessness. Why make it hard for others? I read the book. It was an album of spring palace illustrations, erotic instruction. As I waited for the emperor, the images floated before my eyes. The faces in the drawings morphed into my own and a faceless man. Then I met him, and the faceless man gained a clear form. From Felix and the matron's descriptions, I expected a tyrant who punished people on a whim. I expected someone as fierce as my father. I did not expect the emperor to be beautiful. He was gentle, his presence like a warm spring breeze. A line of poetry surfaced in my mind, like jade from the mountain, like pines in the mist, unique in unparalleled beauty. I was so entranced I forgot to move. I forgot Felix's hours of nagging. I even forgot to bow. "Your Grace," Felix whispered frantically behind me. I snapped out of it. But the emperor didn't blame me. He smiled, utterly gentle. He asked if I was used to the palace, if the food was good. While I was struggling to find an answer, he murmured, "You surely haven't slept well. You have dark circles." He reached out as if to touch my face. I instinctively stepped back. His hand touched empty air. He wasn't angry. He just smiled again. My fault. I was too impatient. Timothy is seeing me for the first time today. Felix hadn't taught me how to respond to this. I was afraid of saying the wrong thing, so I stood there like a wooden post. Before I knew it, the room was empty except for us. The emperor sat at the table and asked what I had done today, and if I liked the zither. I remembered the gift. I hadn't been in the mood to appreciate it earlier. I remembered I should bow and thank him. I started to kneel, but halfway down he caught me. He pulled me by the waist into his lap. "Timothy doesn't need to stand on ceremony with me," he said. He didn't ask about the zither again. He kissed the corner of my mouth, very lightly. I must have looked incredibly stupid, eyes wide, staring at him. He seemed amused by my shock. I saw him laugh, a genuine, happy sound, and I felt the vibration in his chest. He kissed me again, deeper this time, treating me like a rare treasure. I remembered the matron's rules. I tried to respond. His arms tightened around my waist instantly. For a moment, I tasted grapes. I remembered the grape trellis in my mother's courtyard. In the summer, I would play the zither beneath it, eating the sweet, round fruit. After a long time, he let me go. He smiled again, like wind sweeping away winter snow. He asked if anyone had troubled me, and why I hadn't gone to build a snowman with Sophie. I couldn't read his intent. I chose my words carefully. Your Majesty, no one troubled me. The Queen is gentle, and Consort Sophie is kind. I just arrived today and haven't adjusted, so I wanted to be alone. He hummed. Timothy, you don't need to call yourself subject or concubine in front of me. If you are bored, come find me in the governance palace. Sophie is too energetic. If you don't like her, you don't have to entertain her. He clearly didn't want me building snowmen with her. It made sense. Who would want their woman walking with their man? I nodded. I understand. He looked pleased and kissed me again. Then he picked me up and carried me to the bed. I clenched my sleeves until they were wrinkled. He placed me down, removed his outer robe, and lay beside me. He draped an arm over my waist, pulling me into his embrace. Sleep, he said. A moment later, he added, when Timothy is willing, I will teach you properly. I couldn't sleep for a long time. I wanted to turn over, but feared waking him. Eventually, exhaustion took me. When I woke, he was gone. I found myself clutching a piece of yellow silk. Felix told me the emperor had exempted me from morning greetings to the queen. He beamed. This morning, your grace was holding onto his majesty's sleeve. Fearing he would wake you, he cut the sleeve off with a dagger. He treats you so well. I wondered, is he this good to everyone? Does he cut his sleeves for other consorts? A strange, uncomfortable feeling rose in my chest. I sat on the steps again, staring at the bare tree. Felix tried to make me go out. You'll suffocate sitting here. Go for a walk. To stop his nagging, I went. He wanted me to pick red plums for the emperor. But before we reached the grove, we were blocked. It was Consort Lily. She looked mean. Is Consort Timothy here to admire the plums too? I didn't expect sister to share my taste. Oh, pardon me, she giggled, covering her mouth in a mock delicate gesture. I forgot. I should call you brothered. She laughed like a hen that had just laid an egg. Suddenly, a voice roared, Lily, you dare show your face. Sophie charged in like a whirlwind, claws out. I'm going to tear you apart today. Lily shrieked and hid behind me. Sophie grabbed Lily's cloak and reached for her hair. Lily flailed, grabbing my clothes and dragging me into the fray. Felix stomped his feet, screaming for the maids to separate us. By the time we were pulled apart, my neck was stinging. I touched it, it was scratched. Sophie had a few marks, but Lily was worse. Her face was painted with red scratches. Sophie, hair wild, was still kicking, screaming that she wanted another 300 rounds. Soon, the queen summoned us. Lily wept instantly, accusing Sophie of violence. Sophie called Lily a lying actress. So, Consort Lily, Sophie sneered. Are you saying I scratched my own face for fun? Lily sobbed, say what you will. My rank is lower than yours. I dare not argue. Sophie lunged. Sophie. The queen's voice was sharp. Sophie wilted like a frosted eggplant. This fearless girl was terrified of the queen calling her name. Before I could speak, the emperor arrived. Felix knelt and recounted the events. The emperor's face darkened. He banished Lily to the cold palace, confined Sophie to her quarters for 3 months, and ordered the queen to manage the harem better. He took me back to the governance palace. He retied my hair and applied ointment to my neck from a small porcelain bottle. He blew gently on the wound. It tickled, and I pulled back. He pulled me into his arms. Why didn't you speak in the Phoenix Palace? He asked. Then he sighed. If you meet someone like Lily again, what will you do? He smiled then. It doesn't matter if you don't speak. I won't let anyone bully Timothy. At home, my father called himself the Marquis to show authority before scolding us. This was the first time I heard the emperor use jeune asterisk, the royal we, to promise protection. My nose stung, and tears fell. He let me lean on his shoulder, patting my back. My tears flowed harder, years of grievance finding an outlet. What is it, Timothy? He asked tenderly. Why so aggrieved? I couldn't speak, just shook my head. He wiped my tears patiently. When I was done, I felt embarrassed and tried to push him away. He laughed, calling me heartless, and kissed me. It was gentle, lingering. My heart felt scratched by a kitten. Then, he guided my hand to his belt. I panicked and tried to pull away. He kissed my face, his voice hoarse. Timothy. Help me. Timothy. His eyes were burning. When he finally let me go, my blood rushed to my head. I sat far away. He coaxed me. Good Timothy, I was possessed for a moment. Don't be angry. But he was a liar. He forced me to call him Lucas. If I did, he hugged me for ages. If I didn't, he just called my name over and over. My heart pounded around him. I told him he bullied me because he was emperor. He told me to bully him back. He said since we had bowed to heaven and earth, there was no shame between husbands. We had bowed to heaven and earth. On the day he brought me back to the palace, he had set up the Morning Sun Palace with red silk and dragon and phoenix candles. A wedding chamber. He asked if I was willing. I said I didn't know. He kissed me and said he would wait until I knew. He was always gentle. Until the day Sophie got drunk. Sophie's confinement ended, and she started bringing gifts to apologize for scratching me. She dragged me to grill meat. One day, she brought wine from the border. She downed a bowl in one gulp, looking heroic, but she was a terrible drunk. She grabbed me, wailing about missing her father and brother. Don't leave me, she cried, clinging to me like an octopus. I want to be with my brother. The emperor walked in. His gentle face shattered. He ripped Sophie off me. Sophie screamed, I want to be with my brother, and kicked the emperor. He dragged me into the room. My father used to drag my mother like that before beating her. I was terrified. Was the dream over? I curled into a ball on the bed, shaking. Timothy, he shouted, his voice distorted. Are you afraid of me? How can you be afraid of me? He laughed, a broken sound. Huh. Bringing you into the palace. It was just my own wishful thinking, wasn't it? Tears streamed down his face. He pinned me down. Whether you are willing or not, you belong to Jean. I remembered his gentleness. The cut sleeve. The plum blossoms. The kite flying. The wedding candles. But now, the man who wanted me to call him Lucas had become the emperor. I realized he was the son of heaven. Life and death were his whim. He had been so good to me that I had forgotten he was a king. My heart hurt. My body hurt. Finally, darkness took me. I woke in the governor's palace. He was gone. I clutched the blanket. Chamberlain Wilson told me the emperor had watched over me all night. He hasn't eaten a grain of rice, Wilson sighed. He's in the side hall, afraid you don't want to see him. Wilson brought medicine. The emperor entered, took the bowl, and fed me. I looked at him. He seemed like Lucas again. Why couldn't he always be Lucas? A tear slid from my eye. He panicked, reaching out, then stopping. He buried his face in the bed. When he lifted his head, the quilt was wet. He told me the truth. Years ago, when he was crown prince, he had snuck out of the palace. He ended up in the Sterling estate and saw a young boy in underclothes sitting on the steps, dazed. He thought it was the most beautiful boy he had ever seen. He fell in love. Later, he found out I was the Marquis's daughter. He was happy, thinking I was like him, a man who liked men, forced to hide. He waited until his power was secure to summon me. He thought of everything, except that I might not want to come. When he saw Sophie hugging me, he snapped. He was terrified I would leave. He regretted it the moment he sobered up. I'm sorry, Timothy, he sobbed. I know how painful it is to be forced. I know. I looked at him. My heart was a mess. I closed my eyes and slept. When I woke, Wilson begged me to make the emperor eat. I pointed to the pastries. The emperor came in, holding lotus flowers. He put them in a vase and whispered, Timothy, can I stay? I nodded. He sat, reviewing memorials, stealing glances at me. If I frowned, he looked away. If I sighed, he panicked, wanting to call the doctor. He gave me storybooks about men falling in love. I caught him watching me. He looked guilty. He was holding his memorial upside down. I laughed. That night, he sat in a chair to sleep. I told him to come to bed. He lit up. Timothy, do you forgive me? I didn't answer. He lay on the very edge of the bed. I won't touch you. I'll just guard you. We lived in this strange truce until the Queen Mother returned. She came for me. Wilson tried to stop her guards, revealing hidden martial arts skills, but the Queen Mother stepped forward herself. Wilson, You watch the emperor go mad and do nothing? Are you helping him become a sinner of the dynasty? The emperor will not be laughed at. A voice cut through. Lucas strode in, shielding me. Emperor, the queen mother raged. Do you know the consequences? Mother, Lucas said, his voice trembling but firm. I cannot bear it. I will not force him. If you are obsessed, she hissed, then I will. Then you will what? Lucas laughed, a tragic sound. Drug me like father did? Tie me up and throw me to a woman. He screamed the last sentence. The servants knelt in terror. Wilson pulled me to the side hall. I was shaking. Wilson, the emperor. Wilson sighed. The late emperor tried to force him. He found out about his majesty's preference. He drugged him. That is why the emperor hates coercion. That is why he hates himself for what he did to you. Wilson looked at me. Consort Timothy, the emperor has never forced you before that night. You like him. Why fight it? If you truly don't like him, ask for a decree to leave. The emperor walked over. Timothy, don't be afraid. I sent the queen mother away. He whispered. Timothy, do you want to leave the palace? Do I? I remembered Sophie saying she wanted to go home. But I never had that thought. Even when I was scared. I moved closer and took his hand. Timothy. He sounded disbelieving. There is nothing between me and Sophie. I said. I know. He said, hugging me loosely. I was just jealous. Insecure. Can you send Sophie out of the palace? I asked. She doesn't belong here. Silence. Then, voice cracking. You want to leave with her? He pushed me away. You hugged me just to ask to leave with her? Fine. Go. Go far away. Don't let me see you again. He turned his back, shoulders shaking. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I coaxed him. The emperor is so generous. But, if you chase me away, where will your husband go? He spun around. What did you call me? My husband is here. Where would I go? I kissed him. His face flushed. Timothy. Say it again. Husband. He laughed like a fool. He immediately ordered Sophie's release to pray for the nation. When Sophie left, I went to the city wall. The queen was there. Thank you, she said. I hope she lives up to her name. Carefree. You could leave too, I said. She smiled sadly. Some things cannot be done just because we wish it. Then she looked at me. You and the emperor. It is good to see lovers united. Back at the palace, Lucas was sulking. Who is jealous now? I teased, poking his face. I'm afraid I can't control myself, he muttered when I pulled at his clothes. I am willing, I whispered. Timothy is willing to be with Lucas. He cried again. Later, rubbing my back, he asked, Be my empress, Timothy. A lifetime, just the two of us. I told him about the queen. He nodded. She has a lover in the borderlands. I will recall him. I will let her go. She gave me the phoenix seal, I said. She wished us a long life together. Good, Lucas smiled. We have our own place to belong. He stood behind me, smiling just as he had the first day. But this time, I ran into his arms without hesitation. I had found my return.